Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. Today is August 18th, 2023, and this is your Friday planning video. Today I'm going to have a little bit of a throwback day and use a slogan from a company that some of you may not know, and if you do know it, you may not actually be able to find them anymore, but Radio Shack. They actually used to use the slogan, "You've got questions, we've got answers." So today I want to talk about questions. To use one more popular tagline, this time from Farmers Insurance, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. So yes, I want to talk about questions that we should be discussing, and some that we should have already discussed, or that you should discuss, and even some that I get that I want to urge you to get ahead of so that we don't need to discuss them. And you don't need to ask them. So start with those first. The two questions that I want to urge you to get ahead of are the ones that I do my best in our meetings to keep harping on. First one, and it may sound crazy, but the question I get involves I just retired and I want to work out how I'm going to make my finances work. If you've worked with me for more than a minute, you know that this one's a bit worrisome. This is information that we talk about over and over again, and we review what that income in retirement will need to be, where the source of that income will come from. The second one, and this is one that I'll admit I'm only about 50% of or less successful with, is the one about my spouse did all of this and I don't know anything about it and now they're gone. This one is why, to the question I get when I ask for both spouses to attend calls and meetings. Like I said, even in 2023, I'm not so successful on this one. I do urge you all, both spouses, to work with me to get at least some of the basics so that when the time comes, we're ready to carry out the plans as they've been discussed. Okay, those are the ones not to ask, the ones I prefer not to hear because we've already gone through them, we've already answered those questions. For the ones that we need to discuss, and these cover a lot of different areas, some of these are going to sound silly to those of us who talk all the time or regularly, but it can never hurt to refresh. So let's start with the simple ones. How should we title the accounts? This is a good time to remind you that I don't give personal tax advice nor legal advice, but for this and much more, I'll work with your tax and legal advisors to be sure this part is handled. This is important. Yes, you guessed it. Another one, primary beneficiaries and contingent beneficiaries also. This is also a good time to talk about who will handle the accounts. This is nothing more than determining who the decision maker will be and providing the proper documentation to make sure that that happens. This can include powers of attorney and other legal or firm documents that allow us to talk to whomever in your team is the lead. Note also that we are not going to give your personal information to anyone without permission. I took a call this week from another asset manager looking to verify a shared client's date of birth. I told them I was sure that they did not think that I was going to do that without getting permission from the client. Rest assured, your data is something that we are very careful not to share unless we've been granted permission to do so. How about this one? How will we stay in touch, and what methods of communication will we use to meet and discuss? This is a tricky one in 2023, so let's go over a few items of interest. There will be only one added option for those who are in Charleston or in Chicago, and of course that will be the ability to come into the offices. Let's work that out. I always prefer face-to-face if possible. For those of you that are not in those two locations, Zoom or other approved video conferencing applications allow for us to be face-to-face in the 2023 version of that word. At the bottom of every email and soon on the website as well, there will be a link to my calendar to set a meeting time without the usual back and forth. You can always call myself or Rebecca and we'll be sure to get it set up for you as well as just those links. Speaking of the website, this is a source of a lot of original content as well as firm research and other educational material. The website, it's here in the background, www.randycohenihtwm.com, is a good place to get these videos, the monthly blog, an easy link to your online access, and much more. We'll be adding things periodically and we'll let you know as we do. Of course, email is also a good way to stay in touch. For text messaging, there is a new number for texting and calling if you wish. I do ask that you update your contact information for me in your phone. The new text and voice number, aside from the office numbers, is 847-999-4226. Please do not use WhatsApp or my cell number for texting. Finally, you can always go old school, pick up the phone and call me. You all know how much I like to talk, so anytime, please call to catch up. I give you this list because our communication is key to our success together. Please stay in touch. These calls and the meetings are where we not only review what the plan is and how the plan's going, but also updates on changes in life events. This is the key. Let's add another one. How about what kind of things should we talk about? Well, at risk of opening the therapy practice, we can really talk about anything. Ideally, we'll discuss anything financial. As mentioned before, I don't give tax advice nor legal advice, but as your financial advisor, I'll work with you to come up with a plan and even prepare questions and help you collect what you may need for those meetings with other professionals. This can be from mortgage brokers to estate planning attorneys and anything in between. I'm not an expert in everything, but as I started this video, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. So let's wrap up today with another list. You know how I love those. How about things that you should probably think twice about or more before you buy, especially in retirement? Number one, high risk investments. Now, beauty, or in this case, risk, is in the eye of the beholder, and we know that there is risk in everything, but chances are that in retirement, high risk should not be high on your to-do list. We can talk about if you wanted to set aside a certain small amount of high-risk money, but we should talk about it and discuss if everyone agrees on the risks and the amounts. Number two, timeshares. This one may bring controversy, but in my experience, this is a tough asset to find a place for in your portfolio if you're retired. There's a lack of liquidity and a lot of restrictions in most of these, and as retirees, those are two of my most important words: liquidity and unrestricted. Large impulse purchases can really mess up retirement, and worse, cash flow. According to a 2019 Natixis survey, 48% of boomers said that they would be able to be comfortable in retirement if they watch their spending. This, of course, is all about budgeting, and that's where we can really make a difference. In line with number 3 and 4 and 5 are second homes and expensive vacations. Now, this is very personal, so take this as a conversation starter, not a hard and fast rule, but if these items can fit into a plan, we should talk about that. I know it is in the plan of a few of you already, and we've worked out this part of your plan. We'll wrap up with a few more. These are real discussion points, but probably some of the most important questions to talk about. Am I on track with my retirement goals? This one is my absolute favorite. Why else do we do what we do? So please, this is not always easy to quantify, but it should be a part of every conversation. And most of the time, there are other goals to keep in mind also. Let's keep a scorecard on those also. Okay, can I be more tax efficient with my investments? As I mentioned, I don't give tax advice, but with the help of your tax advisor, we'll keep an eye on this. It is not what you earn, it is what you keep. So please remember that this is really all about the budget and the plan. There's a 1 in 3 chance that women and a 1 in 5 chance that men will live to 95 or beyond, and chances are your Social Security benefit will not cover all your expenses. That is a potential 2 or 3 decades of retirement. Purchasing power is the enemy here, and since 1971, the U.S. dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power. The work we do together is so important. I've told you before, I consider the work I do to be handling the third most precious asset that you have behind your health and your family. I'm a harsh critic of the work we do, and will always push to do the job better. I look forward to reviewing these things and much more. So stay in touch, give some of the resources I spoke about a try, and we'll go over some of these questions again soon. Come back Monday for the Monday Market Update. Have a great weekend.